heart of the capital city, live from the Broadcast House studios at 44th and O. We switch on the blinding neon glow that bears their name. Jack Mitchell.
None of it is true. Get out of here. Quit trying to make movies, you idiot.
And Dave Miller.
This will be a movie, and I can't wait to not see it. This is so dumb.
It's KLIN's Jack and Dave in the morning.
Speaking of movies, I can't emphasize enough, the trailer for Anchorman 2 is out today, and confirmed this morning, Dumb and Dumber 2 is going to happen. It's bliss.
Wow, if they just make the Flintstones too, my life would be complete.
Oh, the Flintstones. Signing Rosie O'Donnell back up to play Betty is going to be difficult, though.
They'd have to pay her double now.
I always thought that was an unfair treatment of Betty.
Well, yeah, because she was the hot one out of the two of them, right?
You said what I was trying to get at in a roundabout way.
They should have made Megan Fox Betty Rebel.
Well, I think Megan Fox was only like 14 when that movie came out. But I mean, Rick Moranis was in it. Wasn't it John Goodman and Rick Moranis?
Yes, yeah. Rick Moranis was Barney.
And Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes.
And
that was a pretty star-studded lineup. I mean, for the time.
Elizabeth Perkins as Wilma.
Yes. Well done.
Thing.
Well done.
And then Dino played himself. So.
It's good.
As played by Dino.
You hear the voice of Jason Peterson, Turbine Digital. We have him in every couple of weeks to talk. Not Flintstones usually, or movies.
Hey, whatever.
But, whatever it might be. Usually tech, social media, those sorts of things. Good morning, Jason. How you doing?
Good morning, guys.
Since we talked to you last, this whole deal with the NSA, surveillance, Facebook, Google, Yahoo, all turning in all their government requests. What do you make of all this, hearing all this, being a guy that works with this stuff all the time, talks to companies about privacy, those sorts of things?
You know, to some degree, and I try to stay sort of objective in all of this, I'm not super surprised. I mean, this is part of the challenge with these kinds of ecosystems, and then just the age we live in, whether you like it or don't like it. There's just all these kinds of things and these dynamics that are outrageously complicated. So my take has always been, and I think I've said it before, is if you're afraid of what you're posting, that's a bad thing. So I always use the rule of thumb that if anybody wanted to look in, I don't think they'd really care what they would see as far as what I'm posting. That's kind of my take.
I don't either. I don't have anything to hide. Here's the problem that I have. Unlimited time is not a boundary for the government. So they can store the stuff forever, right?
Of course.
You take any 50 emails from any human being on the planet, and I guarantee you could build a circumstantial case against them in any way that you want.
Great point. I agree.
And that's what I have a problem with is, how is this information that I was sharing with somebody else going to be misconstrued and used against me? If I'm doing something wrong, then, yeah, come get me. But I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just,
But none of this
barbecue recipes and stuff like that.
None of this shocked you, though, did it?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think, I try to be a student of the game in all aspects of how this whole privacy thing deals with. And I've always felt that the term my pops would say is absolute power corrupts.
Yeah.
So if there is no accountability to how people can use and how they can, like you said, they can audit this information at an unlimited basis, that's a challenge, because you're right. Everybody's going to be saying stuff that's probably to some degree confusing, doesn't make sense, and so forth. And again, I think this issue is never going to go away. I mean, I feel like this.
Well, it's not going to get better from here, is it?
No, it's not going to get better. It's probably only going to get worse, and it's only going to get more complex. So there's going to be this constant tug of war of how do we reconcile the transparency of how we communicate with the privacy of what we share.
Right. And balancing it about balancing the idea of security too, and the benefit that can be obtained by surveilling, by looking into what potential bad guys are doing as well.
Absolutely.
It's a huge balancing act.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish the thought.
No problem. The thing I think, and I've told the users in the past, is it's probably not a bad idea to continue to review your privacy settings within the social network you use. That's always a good thing. That doesn't necessarily mean, and clearly that's what we're learning, is that that information can still be passed on. But nonetheless, do what you can control, which is continue to be a good steward and responsible of how you're using the networks that you're involved with. And, just read up, continue to get the facts and make sure if you're not comfortable, then don't play in that space.
Do you think that this will create a new market for encryption to try and get around this kind of stuff? Because it came out earlier late last week, earlier this week, that Apple, FaceTime, and iChat is immune to all this stuff from the government. That they can't, Apple can't help them decrypt it or whatever.
Which I
and-
still can't believe.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe. But will there be a market or a black market for this kind of encryption now?
That's a great question, and I would tend to say yes. There's always been, in terms of those evasive concerns, and as long as these companies have APIs so that you can integrate and hook into them, like the exception of like a Pinterest, Facebook and Twitter and all of those, you could definitely create some posting algorithms that could at least put that information up there. The thing that will be the key is once that information is inside of their network, how is that saved? So, but there's always ways. I mean, this most likely will create some kind of market to address these concerns.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about, ran across an interesting article, and I'm glad that Jack put it on our prep today because I would have forgotten. Google is doing something really, really interesting for internet access in ultra remote areas, and they're calling it Google Balloon.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to explain what it is and what you think of it?
Well, I think that one of the main reasons of growth in, I'd say, third world countries compared to before is the infrastructure cost to add internet access was astronomical. So therefore, places like the United States and China and Europe and so forth got that stuff first. Now, Eric Schmidt has said in a keynote I think I heard 2 years ago is just the billions of people, I may be quoting this wrong, but it was like 5 billion or 4 billion that are not on the internet. So, hey, that's where they advertise. So it's in their best interest to create these technologies, whether it's Google Fiber or using, wireless or remote technology. And yeah, this is pretty sweet. It's an interesting concept that they've decided to use by putting this balloon in the air that's going to transmit internet connectivity.
And how long are the balloons good for? Do you know?
I don't recall. I mean, it's I'm sure they're going to have to cycle in and out, every year or so, if not less. So, but again, it's very possible. In the article I read, it could even be disposable to some degree because
Well, yeah,
the
they're doing
technology is getting
off-the-shelf
cheap.
parts, right? It's
Yes.
not like these are custom-made components to be able to get the internet to
Correct.
people.
I mean, the cost of entry and the cost to use this stuff. It's these little to compare Raspberry. This little itty bitty device, tiny computer that costs. It doesn't have any operating system on it, like $20. And so that's the kind of world we live in. Is this stuff is so cheap that it is disposable, as bad as I would say. So therefore, I'm pretty sure Google's created some sort of pricing scenario that if something breaks, it's not a huge deal.
Huh.
It's interesting. I mean, what the next step is, we're at a situation now where you're on your phone, you're either on a network, whether it's Sprint, Verizon, whatever, or Wi-Fi. How different in a few years that's going to be? Are we going to be blanketed with Wi-Fi everywhere? You kind of are to some degree now, but you can't get on most of it's private Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Is the future different when it comes to that? Is there some kind of worldwide Wi-Fi or something like that that's coming?
I completely agree wholeheartedly. Just like when dial-up was the way we dealt with stuff in the 90s, and then we went into broadband access. I'm totally in belief that this wireless technology, whether it's cell technology and other aspects of that's going to take over the way that we utilize the internet, and it creates this communication network that is fast. I mean, golly, we've talked 4G is 4 or 5 times faster than what I have at home, and I have a connection from Windstream. I don't have Time Warner. So if that's taking place, it's just a matter of time. And a lot of this technology networks, over in China and Japan, they're a heck of a lot faster than what we're using here in the United States.
You Verizon people bragging about your 4G make me sick, by the way. Jason Peterson with Turbine Digital. Okay, a couple of I see Facebook has an announcement coming tomorrow.
Yes.
And the rumor is that it's Instagram video. I'm afraid this is going to be a very bad thing for the content of the internet in some ways. After what, I love my own Instagram photos of my kids that I put the cool filters on, but I just don't know if I'm ready for Instagram video. And I don't know what it's going to look like. And nobody does. There's a lot of speculation about it. What do you think about this?
The thing, and I think, Jack, you and I were talking about this. There was an outstanding article in Fast Company that was discussing the real strategy about how Facebook is using and plans to use Instagram, and it's in a very non-conventional way. And the bottom line is it's keeping them cool on some level. The challenge is Vine is owned by Twitter, so they're trying to keep this space vibrant of how they would use video. I'm in agreement. I'm really intrigued to see how they do it, but based on the understanding of these guys that run Instagram, they're pretty cool guys. They know what they're doing.
They're saying Instagram's videos would be limited to 5 to 10 seconds, and then I don't know if it would loop like Vine does. I don't know. I thought Vine was cool at the beginning.
Yeah,
and,
I don't care
and
for it.
then
For a day and a half.
And now I don't even click people's links on Vine. I just don't. They're not interesting to me. I'm not sure what it is. Real quickly, we haven't talked since Apple unveiled some of the details about its new operating system that still isn't coming for 4 months, but I guess they got to give the developers some time to get their game together. I don't know. I guess I felt a little underwhelmed by it, but were you excited by it?
Personally, I think it's a very nice refresh. There's a couple features and so forth that are pretty good related to the camera. Nothing earth-shattering, but I really do think that the experience, the polish is way better. Just some
aesthetically, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's a gorgeous interface. So bottom line is they're continuing to try to keep that experience. They stay away from the gadgety stuff. I mean, that continues to be something they really don't go into the Samsung world of using your eyes to move and scroll stuff.
Right.
But no, I was impressed. I thought it was pretty solid.
Okay, well, we'll see. It's going to be a while till it comes out. All I wanted was arrow keys on the keyboard, because the one thing that drives me nuts, you'll have a word in the middle of a sentence you want to edit. How many times do you have to push buttons till you get to the word you're trying to get to?
You need the @ symbol on the front of the keyboard instead of having to go through 2 layers to be able to get through the symbols,
maybe that too. But yeah, the Android keyboard I used to have had those arrow go up, down, all the cursors move around wherever you want to. All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think SwiftKey is going to get into iOS.
People love that.
I
People
really
love
believe
that,
it.
and they love the swipe
I
thing
think so.
where you can move your...
Something's going to happen with the keyboard.
All right, give a shout-out to the website, the blog, Facebook, those sorts of things for Turbine Digital.
Perfect. This is Turbine.com.
All right, there you go. This is Turbine.com. We'll look for Jason Peterson's work there. Thanks so much, Jason. We'll talk again in a couple weeks. All right?
Thanks, guys.
8:50, Jack and Dave in the morning, 1400 AM, 94.5 FM, KLIN.